It's time for Northwestern Outdoors Radio, the award-winning show that covers fishing, hunting, and all sorts of outdoor recreation here in the Great Northwest. Northwestern Outdoors is brought to you every week by Max Lure Company, a legacy of innovation since 1969, by Loophole Optics, America's optical authority, by Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors,
by Wallowa County.
Nature is on display in Northeast Oregon, and by The Real News, your fishing resource. Also by Shiloh Inns and Suites, providing you with affordable excellence. And by Mardon Resort, the place for fishing, hunting, and more in Eastern Washington. And now, it's time to head outside with your host, John Cruz.
Well, aloha. Remember that show we put together at Turtle Bay Resort on the North Shore of Oahu? Well, we got a whole bunch of great feedback. That show highlighted not only this fantastic resort, but all sorts of the outdoor activities you can do there as well, like surfing and hiking and horseback riding. If you missed that show, or if you loved it like a lot of our listeners did and want more, I've got great news. We're heading back to Hawaii this week on Northwestern Outdoors Radio. That's right. We are heading back to Turtle Bay Resort, and we're going to start off this show by talking to Danna Holck about some of the other aspects of this fantastic place that will make you want to come back again and again. Things like the great restaurants there, especially restaurants on the beach, restaurants where you can watch the surfers and the sunset, or go to the surfer bar, which is like any other bar I've ever been to. And then there's the incredible customer service that is truly second to none. We'll also be talking to our friend Spencer Debille again. You may remember him from the last show when he took us surfing and hiking around Oahu. This time, Spencer is teaching us how to stand up paddleboard, and we'll tell you all about this sport and pastime attracting thousands of enthusiasts not only on the islands, but on lakes and rivers around the mainland too. All of this is great stuff, but you are really going to love the talk we have on the beach with Drew Wilkinson with Shaka Kayaks. They partner with Turtle Bay Resort to take you on 2-hour trips that will have you paddling with big, friendly sea turtles and learning all sorts of things about the island of Oahu and the plants, animals, and sea life you find here. Throw in some music from Turtle Bay Resort's musical ambassador, Tutu Janet, and you'll likely be checking out turtlebayresort.com before this show is over to find out about booking a stay at a place that's as close to paradise as many of us get this side of heaven. We do have a few things to share with you from the Northwest as well. Lance Mers joins us for another extended Max Minute, and we've got a 4-state Northwest pheasant hunting forecast from Pheasants Forever this week too. In addition to that, we've got several upcoming events that include a bird watching festival in eastern Idaho, several things going on at state parks in Montana and Washington, and a really cool road biking event that's going to take place in Oregon. But before we go any further into this show, it's time for another edition of Sportsman Spotlight, brought to you every week by Shiloh Inn & Suites, the hotel chain that lives up to its motto of affordable excellence. This week, David's going to annoy you. That's right, he is going to annoy you for a moment with a sound you won't soon forget, and then he and his guest are going to tell you about a bird you can hunt in both Hawaii and the Northwest, the wild turkey.
What's that sound like? David Sparks, Sportsman Spotlight. Longtime friend of the show and retired Fish and Game Administrator Ed Bangs and I were on the phone reminiscing about a wild turkey hunt that he had been on. Just listen in on a very fun conversation.
Oh, I went turkey hunting this spring around Helen. I shot a turkey there last fall with my shotgun. I didn't bow hunt it. I shot with my shotgun. And then I drew a tag this spring, and so I spent a lot of time turkey hunting, and I had a blast. I've hunted turkeys in Hawaii like maybe 4 times. And you don't call them as much there. You kind of stalk them because there's a lot of them. But in Montana, I spent a lot of time trying to call turkeys. I had a hoot. A more experienced turkey hunter would have got a turkey for sure, but I had at least 7 close calls where I called them in. You know, they'd hang up at 50 yards, or they'd just come in and I couldn't get a clear shot because of brush and stuff. So, yeah, I had a hoot. It was really fun.
What were you using for a turkey call?
It's called a little scratch. It's a little box that maybe fits in your pocket that's got a wooden stroker on it. I haven't seen many like this. It's the size of a cigarette packet. And then it's just hollow inside, and then you just got a little stroker on it, and you just kind of And it seems to work pretty good, man. It called them right in. But I got a slate call too, and all that kind of stuff. But I use that one just because it's really easy to do, and it seems to broadcast pretty well.
This is David Sparks for Sportsman Spotlight.
Confused by so many national brand hotel reward programs? Blackout dates, expiration dates, different points for different hotel rewards, and gimmicks? At Shiloh Inn Suites Hotels, it's simple. No blackout dates for any rewards stay. If we have a room available, it's yours. Hi, I'm Mark Hemstreet, owner of Shiloh Inns. As a rewards member, you'll receive free room upgrades, a dedicated personal agent to help book your stay, points that don't expire, points that can be used for free nights at any one of our beautiful hotels, or donations to your local school or free airline tickets, and much more. And as a special bonus, you'll earn 100 free bonus points just for signing up. From your very first stay, you receive free Wi-Fi, free breakfast at most locations. The kids stay free. We don't charge ridiculous resort or parking fees, and we're dog-friendly. Shiloh Inns, affordable excellence. American-owned and proud of it.
Wetlands are some of the most important ecosystems on Earth, but our wetlands are quickly disappearing. Find out how you can help. Join Ducks Unlimited today.
Hey, I wish you were here with me, walking on the beach in Hawaii.
You're back with Northwestern Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. And you might have missed our broadcast from the North Shore of Oahu a few months ago, but guess what? We're doing another broadcast from the North Shore of Oahu. I'd like to say we went back, but we haven't had a chance yet. So we're actually doing another interview while we're here so that some of you who didn't hear the first one can hear it this time. With us here to tell us more about the Turtle Bay Resort, a magnificent place to visit, is Danna Holck, the general manager. Danna, great to talk to you again.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Danna, let's go ahead and give our listeners who didn't hear it last time an overview of this 800-acre resort on the North Shore of Oahu.
Well, we have a hotel that has 452 rooms. We have villas that are condominiums that are privately owned and also available for use. And then we have cottages, which most of our honeymooners prefer to stay in because they're very private, they're oceanfront, and they're big units with lanais. In addition to that, we have 2 18-hole golf courses, tennis courts. We do stand-up paddleboard lessons, surfing lessons, kayaking, Segway tours, walking tours, bicycling, horseback riding. Anything you could think of, we have it all here.
You sure do. And something else you have here is the ocean. And that's what you hear in the background, folks. Those are the pounding waves hitting the North Shore of Oahu. This is surfer capital of the world. And you'll get to see it all from the cottages, from the condos, or from every room in the hotel. There's not a bad room in the house, is there? Everyone's oceanfront or ocean view.
Everyone's oceanfront or ocean view, and there's also balconies where people could sit out, watch the sunrise or sunset because we're on the north tip of the island. So if you look to the right side, you'll see that sunrise. If you look to the left side, you'll see it set. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful environment here. Something
else we should talk about. I mean, there are probably a few listeners who have been to Turtle Bay before, but you are basically finishing up a renovation right now. And boy, it shows that the rooms are just fabulous.
Oh, thanks so much. We finished a $30 million renovation in December of last year. Basically, all the rooms were completely refinished with furniture and paint and things like that, carpeting. All the hallways were done. We also renovated our restaurants, our lobby, our check-in area, a surf for the bar, which we'll hopefully talk about a little bit more. And then we're about to add some new furniture out to the pool and kind of give it a little touch-up there because, as you know, the pool air environment is open to a lot of the salt air. And so we like to keep it fresh and rejuvenated every couple of years.
Well, again, you have a lot of dining and eating options here. Why don't you go ahead and tell our listeners a little bit about the different dining options available? And yeah, let's talk a little bit about Surf for the Bar, too.
Okay, great. Well, we have Ola's restaurant, which is on the beach. It's one of the few, if maybe only one or two in Hawaii, where you can actually sit in the sand and dangle your toes in the sand while you have a meal. So it's right on the ocean front. And then in the hotel, it's the building itself. There's a few other restaurants, Lobby Lounge, which overlooks the ocean. All of our restaurants really overlook the ocean except Lele's, which is at the golf club. But we feature farm-to-table in one restaurant and seat-to-table in the other restaurant. Lobby lounges where people come and get breakfast, continental breakfast, and maybe sit and look out to the ocean while they're sipping on a glass of wine in the evening. So lots and lots of options for people.
My personal favorites, folks, Hang 10. Like going out there. It's right next to the pool. You can get yourself a drink. Watch the sunset. It's just fabulous. You're right on the ocean. There's a blowhole, too. So as the surf comes in, you get this that goes through. Is just fabulous. You're going to love it. And the other place I really like is Surfer the Bar. That is a bar like no other I've been to, and it's in partnership with Surfer Magazine.
It is, and Surfer the Bar on the North Shore is really the place to be. We do some pretty top-notch entertainment. Actually, when we renovated that bar, we spent more money on the sound equipment, because that was so important to us, especially for entertainers that perform there, than anything else. I guess on the North Shore, anybody that is looking for anything to do, they tend to come here, locals as well as guests, because there's always something happening there, whether it's a Jerry Lopez interview or a Kani Kapila, and Kani Kapila means an open mic night, or it's a Hawaiian entertainment, just a variety of things. Every single night there's something different.
And the other thing that we talked about in the last interview that we did together was all the outdoors fun you can have here, folks. Again, this resort really encourages you to get outside. So whether you want to snorkel at the beach, whether you want to just hang out at the beach, whether you want to go on a trail ride on a horse, go surfing, go stand-up paddling, go running, go biking, go hiking, it's all here on this 800-acre resort. And then you come back and you kind of unwind at one of these bars like we've been talking about, or one of these places to have a great dinner. You know, something else that really stands out, I got to compliment you. Your staff is just top notch. I mean, I've been to a lot of nice places in my life, but I don't think I've ever been to a place where the staff is so not just customer service oriented, but just downright friendly. Jeff, I love this guy. Jeff Anderson, he was our bellhop, but he's got a heck of a story.
He does. You know, Jeff is one of our local guys who has been here for many, many years, and besides being a bellman, he's also a surfboard maker. And my nieces and nephews who surf are well aware and think that I'm so lucky to be able to work with him, because he's such a known surfboard maker.
And that's just one of the interesting characters you're going to meet here. We've been meeting all sorts of interesting folks here, including Dana herself. And you've got a story as a person who was born here on Oahu, went away, and actually had the chance to come back and become GM of this fantastic resort.
Yeah, I was really lucky. 3 years ago, I was living in Puerto Rico, running a resort there, and I had a call from a headhunter who said, boy, we'd really like to get you to come to Waikiki and work out there as a GM. And I said, I'm not really interested in that, but if Turtle Bay ever opens up, I would be very interested in that. And he said, well, actually, it's open, but, we have our final candidate, so it probably isn't going to work out. Well, things changed, and I got the call back and said they'd like to interview me, and so here I am. I feel like the luckiest person in the world to be able to work in paradise here.
I think I've got to agree with you on that. Let's talk about something else here. There's no other hotels. I mean, we drove from Waikiki. There's all the hotels down there, and we hit the road, and then we got to Turtle Bay. We didn't see any other hotels at all, and I would just assume that all these chains would love to have hotels here, but it didn't happen. What's going on?
No, Turtle Bay is the only hotel on this side of the island, really. You'd have to go across the mountain range to find any other hotels, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's just so popular, is because we're able to maintain the beauty and the quiet. We don't want to be a Waikiki beach for sure. I think it's a great place to visit and have a lot of fun, but the North Shore is some place where you really want to come and relax, maybe enjoy a honeymoon, and also have the choice of doing a lot of the activities out here, whether it's surfing, stand-up paddleboarding, biking, whatever. But it's just a very quiet, serene place to be.
We've only got about a minute left before we go, but I'm going to pin you down to one thing here. Actually, 3 things. Give our listeners 3 things they really ought to do when they are visiting the North Shore of Oahu.
Well, there's a great fruit stand right down the road that all of us go to, not just visitors, but locals as well. We buy our fruit there because it's so fresh and it's grown on the farms on the North Shore. So it's a really great place to go to. It's about less than a mile from Turtle Bay. We also, locals like myself, love to hike and barbecue. So when we're not working, you'll find us at one of the beaches on the North Shore, barbecuing, swimming swimming, fishing, and just enjoying each other's company. And then in Haleiwa is a small town about 15 minutes from Turtle Bay, and it's such a cool little town that has restaurants and shops, and the best shave ice on Oahu is also there. So if there are 3 things you'd want to do is visit Haleiwa, go for a barbecue and swim on the North Shore beaches, and then go to our fruit stand, which is a half mile from Turtle Bay.
Later on in the show, folks, we're going to tell you about a lot more things to do as well. Okay, and we're going to give you a hint here, stand-up paddling. And if you missed our last show, surfing was a big topic, and that's still something you really ought to consider taking up while you're on Oahu, or at least watch the pros who really know how to do it. We got to go, but before we do, let's give out a website.
It's www.turtlebayresort.com.
turtlebayresort.com. Go there, check it out. Lots of videos, lots of information. As beautiful as that website is designed, it still doesn't do justice to what you're going to find here. The bottom line is this: if you want a Hawaii vacation away from the crowds, where you can play outdoors, relax at night, reconnect with somebody special, Turtle Bay Resort is the place for you. TurtleBayResort.com is the website to go to. Again, TurtleBayResort.com, and you're going to love it. I guarantee it, because we sure have. Dana, thanks so much for telling us all about this on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. We really appreciate it.
Playing on the golden sand, looking at the ocean, now I understand.
The road is calling you to experience one of Oregon's 7 wonders, the Wallowas. So grab your hiking boots and camera and capture the beauty and grandeur of Northeast Oregon's Wallowa County. Experience nature like never before when you saddle up and ride into the eagle-capped wilderness, hike the trails of the Wallowas, hear the wind rush through the bunch grass and view the wildlife of the Zumwalt Prairie, or ride the churning waters of the wild and scenic Wallowa, Snake, and Grand Ronde rivers. This summer, take the road that leads to wonders. It begins at WallowaCountyChamber.com.
We're back with John Cruz on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
It's time for another Max Minute.
Fish on!
Brought to you every week by Max Lure Company. We've got a multi-species lure to tell you about this week. It works for lake trout. So if you're going to be heading to Lake Chelan in Washington, maybe Flathead Lake in western Montana, or Priest Lake in northern Idaho, well, this lure also works for walleye. So if you like to hit Banks Lake, Potholes Reservoir in the fall, maybe Canyon Ferry Reservoir or Tiber Reservoir in western Montana, we've got the lure for you. With us here to tell us exactly what it is, Lance Mers with Max Lure Company. Tell us, Lance.
Hi, John. It's called the Double Whammy Pro Series, and it comes in 14 different styles and 3 different sizes, size 2, 4, and 6 hooks. It's got a really wide hook gap space, about 1.5 inches wide. So when you're fishing in that water with your bait, it gives it a really plug action wiggle.
I've actually fished the Double Whammy Pro quite a bit for walleye on Potholes Reservoir. It's actually one of my go-to lures because it works fantastic. It's got that smile blade, it's got the beads, like you said, it's got the hooks on it. It works fantastic, especially behind a bottom bouncer weight. Is there anything else you want to tell us in terms of favorite colors that you like to use in the fall?
Chartreuse is always good. We have another color. It's the Ruby Double Whammy Pro, and that does good as well. But the great thing about this is you can change out those smile blades very, very easily. And you don't have to use them with just the bottom mounts or two. You can troll them using some sort of flasher like our Double D Dodgers.
Absolutely. So, and especially if you're going for lake trout, fishing off a downrigger, that's exactly what you're going to want to do. So again, whether you're after Lakers or after walleye, the Double Whammy Pro is probably the lure that you want to start using because you're probably not going to change it up because you'll be catching fish. And that wraps up another Max Minute, brought to you every week by Max Lure Company, makers of the world-famous wedding ring spinner and the patented smile blade.
I'm Bob Loomis, and I fish for walleye. Sometimes when I'm out on the water, I feel like a destroyer captain hunting for targets with my electronics. I'm not hunting submarines, though. I'm hunting fish, and when I find that big one on the fish finder, I want to make sure she's going to bite. That's where the Smile Blade Slow Death Rig from Max Lure comes in. The Smile Blade spins and flashes at ultra-slow speeds, and the one-of-a-kind red hook keeps that bait moving in a way the fish can't resist. It's the Smile Blade Slow Death Rig, only from Max Lure.
It's a great time to go fishing, and whether you're heading to the lake for trout, to the saltwater for salmon, or fishing the Columbia for Chinook or steelhead, The Real News has got you covered. The columnists at The Real News are just like you, die-hard anglers. Better still, they share their expertise to help you have a great time on the water. The Real News has been going strong for 26 years and prides itself on being Washington's only sport fishing newspaper. Look for your copy at local sporting goods retailers or subscribe online at therealnews.com.
The off-season is a great season to visit Mardon Resort. Located in eastern Washington's Columbia Basin, you'll find incredible bird hunting, great wildlife watching opportunities, and fantastic fishing in a boat or right off the marina docks at Mardon Resort. Better still, off-season deals save you money when you bring your RV or stay in the hotel or wonderful park cottages. To find out more, log on to mardonresort.com. Mardon Resort, where the outdoor fun lasts all year long.
Welcome back to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz, and once again, we're broadcasting from paradise. That's right, the North Shore of Oahu. Specifically, we're in a quiet little cove. It's called Kavela Bay. It's actually maybe half a mile away from Turtle Bay Resort, and we've spent an awesome morning kayaking today with Shaka Kayaks. With us here to tell us more is Drew Wilkinson with Shaka Kayaks. Drew, thanks for a great day on the water.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for coming out, and thank you, Kavela Bay and the environment, for providing us with such great, amazing conditions today.
Oh, absolutely pristine and beautiful conditions. And folks, we got to see so much today. We got to see coral. We got to see sea turtles up close. We got to go ahead and go out to the surf. We got to paddle in some quiet areas. And there's more that goes way beyond a kayak tour, too. But before we get into all of that, let's talk about Shaka Kayaks. What kind of services do you offer, folks?
Well, in partnership with Turtle Bay Resort, we offer 2-hour kayak tours that are here at Kavela Bay, featuring our glass bottom windows and our lovely honu, the green sea turtles that make their home around the bay.
Let's go ahead and talk about these kayaks first, because it's different than most kayaks I've been in. You know, most kayaks have a shell. These are sit-on-top kayaks, and like you said, you also have the glass bottom, very stable kayaks, and I love the fact you can see through that glass bottom at not only the sea turtles, but the coral and everything else down below you, too.
Yeah, you know, they're very unique in that you get to have a dry snorkeling experience, and you really get a sense for what it's like in different parts of the bay where you might not be able to take a snorkel and a mask safely.
You know what else I like about this? Surfing, stand-up paddleboarding requires some physical work to go ahead and do this. This is really a low-impact activity. I mean, it's active. You're out there outside. You're having fun. You know, you're moving around as you're kayaking. But pretty much anybody of any physical ability can go out there and have fun, and anyone of any age.
That's correct. I mean, we take toddlers out that are 5 years old, and we have taken out people with different disability issues. We've taken out grandmas and grandpas, and no matter your skill level, we can adapt the tour so that you're having the most amount of fun for what the conditions offer.
You know, the other thing I like, again, the stability of these kayaks. You know, we started here and spent most of our time within the bay, but we actually went out there towards where the surf was, and these kayaks ride, you know, that little surf that we were on just fine.
Yeah, they're great. They're stable. You can actually do some pretty fun kayak surfing in them, and we do incorporate some interesting stand-up kayaking opportunities for those that are adventurous and want to push their limits within the boats.
Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what we did today, because again, it's just pristine conditions out here in Kavela Bay. So we basically launched. You got everybody oriented on how to go ahead and paddle that kayak, and went through the safety drill, which was great. And right away, we were seeing sea turtles. Tell our listeners about these magnificent creatures.
Well, one of the unique aspects of Kavela Bay is the abundance of marine life, and the food source for the turtles is limu, and that's the Hawaiian name for algae. And that was pretty much the first spot we encountered, and you get an up-close view of these turtles going about their daily routine, feeding off the bottom, and it's an amazing thing to see up close.
The sea turtles, you know, weight-wise, it looked like they were anywhere from like 20 pounds all the way up to 50, 60 plus.
The ones we were seeing today were adult-sized turtles, and they're probably anywhere from the range of 60 to over 100 pounds.
Wow.
So there's a lot of meat underneath those big shells that you can't really get an idea for unless they're out on land. Then you can really see the depth of their body mass.
And these turtles, not skittish at all. I mean, they didn't seem to care a bit that we were there hanging out with them.
We've established a nice relationship with the turtles over the past 5 years that we've been here. You know, we always try to keep our distance in the shallow water, and with that, they've built a trust system with us, and that's an amazing thing. It allows our viewers to get relatively close to them without impacting their daily habits, and we try to work with nature as much as we can here and leave no trace.
Well, you do a wonderful job of that. Folks, again, you're going to come out here in the morning. You know, the weather's not going to be too hot because you're doing this early in the day. You're going to be probably paddling under blue skies, getting up close to the sea turtles. But there's a lot more here to Cavella Bay, too. I was really interested to kayak out several hundred yards to boxcars and a railroad track. And the story of how those ended up there was fascinating. I'm going to leave that for another time, but I will give you one hint. Tsunami 46. But interesting stuff there. Got to see some fish. Again, got to paddle around. But the amazing thing I thought about this kayak trip that Shaka Kayaks offers is that it doesn't just stop on the water. We go ahead and we spend some time out in the bay, and then we go ahead and basically hit the sand. We get out. You give us some nice snacks in terms of some fresh pineapple, some macadamia nuts, and then we actually hit the trail for a little bit. Tell our listeners what happens next.
So yeah, there's a lot to see that you're not going to get a chance to experience from the water. So we take you on land, we talk about the flora and fauna of the area, introduce you to some coastal plants, give you some background on the history of Cavella Bay, as well as the Hawaiian Islands. And that makes for a really unique experience. Plus, at the point, you get a nice view of the whole North Shore and a chance to see some humpback whales during this time of the year.
And you know, what I really loved about the walk we took is folks, as we're walking along, he's literally telling us about all the plants and all the trees that you're seeing and what role they play here in this environment. And you did a wonderful job of integrating the flora and the fauna into the history and the discovery and the colonization, I guess, for lack of a better word, of these islands by the Polynesians back in 1400 AD, which was every bit as fascinating of a journey as anything we learned about from Christopher Columbus. And then Captain Cook's experience later on, which didn't turn out so well for him in the end, and all the way up to World War II, where we're sitting there right next to a World War II bunker at a point right there by the sea, and you're telling the story of what happened on December 7th, 1941. Fascinating stuff you'd never expect to get in a normal kayak tour.
Well, thank you for that compliment. And, you know, that's part of the diversity that we try to add to this tour. And that's what makes it unique, is we really care about our environment, we care about our history, and we want to share that with others so that they can walk away from their experience not just with a smile on their face and, you know, a little sunburn, but have a little bit of depth of perception of the place, because Hawaii is a beautiful location that needs education about the preservation and the future of it. And what better way to do that than to allow people to come out on a kayak tour, get this multifaceted idea, perception of the history, the culture, and the marine life experience.
Well, you wrapped it all up in a fantastic package, and it was hard to believe that it only was 2 hours. It seemed a lot longer than that, and I mean that in a good way, not a bad way, because there was just so much packed into those 2 hours. And folks, again, this is an affordable adventure. How much does it cost for a person to go kayaking with you for a couple hours here?
The cost is $100 a person, and if you have your kids, the cost is $80, and that's for under 12 years old. And there's also a neat little side program that we do for your children. It's basically a treasure hunt, but I'll leave that to you the next time you sign up for the tour. And yeah, that includes snacks and a take-home reusable water bottle.
Well, and memories to last a lifetime, along with photos they're going to take of you and send you in your email. So we are running out of time. We unfortunately have to leave this beautiful, beautiful place called Cavella Bay. But if people want to find out more about signing up, I know they can go to the Turtle Bay website at turtlebayresort.com and just look at activities, look at the kayak page, and they're going to find you there. But I understand Shaka Kayaks has a website as well.
Yeah, you can check us out online, shakakayaks.com.
That's Shaka, Shaka, kayaks.com, shakakayaks.com for a 2-hour experience you're going to remember for years to come. Drew, thanks again for a wonderful, wonderful morning on the water and for some great memories.
Thank you very much. Aloha.
You demand quality performance from your binoculars, whether you use them in the field, on the water, or at a stadium. But you don't want to spend a fortune. That's where the BX Mackenzie binoculars from Leupold come in. These armored, waterproof binoculars are both comfortable and dependable. Look for your Mackenzie binoculars at quality sporting goods retailers near you, to include your Cabela's, Sportsman's Warehouse, or Northwest Bimart stores. BX Mackenzie, bringing your world into sharper focus, only from Leupold.
The 2-burner camp stove has evolved, and today's line of portable camp stoves from Camp Chef have come a long way from your father's propane stove, featuring matchless ignition, more cooking power, and in some cases a built-in grill or extra burner. And you've got what you need to whip up some great grub in the field. Look for the complete line of Mountain Series stoves at your local sporting goods store or online at campchef.com. Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors.
It's the bolo-head coconut tree. It does its way in the breeze for me.
You're back with Northwestern Outdoors Radio. We're broadcasting again from Turtle Bay Resort on the North Shore of Oahu. You probably hear some surf in the background. You probably hear Tutu Janet strumming her ukulele as well. And we've just had another fantastic day out on the water with our friend and instructor from the Hans Hedemann Surf School, Spencer Debille. Spencer, thanks for an awesome day of stand-up paddleboarding.
Thanks, John. It's good to have you there.
Let's go ahead and talk about this because, stand-up paddleboarding, it's become a sport that's really gained in popularity in the last few years. When did this become the trend that it became?
Well, yeah, only in the past about 10 years has it started to become popular. There's a man named Laird Hamilton that basically brought it to the masses. For a long time, it's been hard to paddle into big waves, and Laird Hamilton kind of invented tow-in surfing to be able to do that. That's where you use a jet ski and a rope, tow into a big wave. Well, he found out that with paddle boards, you can actually get into a big wave easier because of the buoyancy and the surface area that they have. So once people started seeing that, wow, that this professional surfer was using these massive boards for something incredible, they started to give it a little bit more credibility and started to accept it a little bit more in the regular surf lineups.
So the stand-up paddleboard, biggest difference is basically it's a wider platform so that you can stand up on it, and then you're kind of paddling it, almost like a canoe, aren't you?
Yeah, you have to switch sides just like a canoe. If you keep paddling on one side, it'll turn in circles. The main difference is the way the paddle is shaped. Unlike a canoe paddle where you use about the spoon, the scooping side to pull the water, with a paddleboard paddle you use the flat side. And a lot of people, especially beginners, you can tell when they're beginners because they'll use the paddle backwards.
Let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about paddleboarding. Over in the Northwest, where I call home, people are doing it at lakes, they're doing it on flat waterways, and it's kind of a serene sort of thing that you do. But where we were doing it today, we were in the bay and we got to paddle over the coral and we saw some sea turtles, which was awesome. But then you went out to the surf, and I'd never seen that before. You basically were using this while you were surfing on the stand-up paddleboard with my daughter there as well, and that was just awesome. I didn't know that you could use a stand-up paddleboard that way.
Yeah, actually that's how it was originally invented for, was to catch waves, to surf them. And because so many people have been able to implement it on things like river riding and just open lake, flat lake paddleboarding, it's become surfing kind of in the background. But originally that's what it was made for, and it's probably the most fun use, at least I know, that you can use for it.
Well, actually, folks, our photographer today on our lesson was Kirsten Seal, who actually is she's a competitive surfer and really world-renowned. And that's the great thing about coming here to Turtle Bay. You meet some really big people in this sport. So Kirsten is doing a little photography for us today, and she told us that she's actually competing in stand-up paddleboarding in Australia. So we're not talking stand-up paddleboarding like on a lake. We're talking about she's basically surfing on a stand-up paddleboard and using that paddle as a rudder, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually probably one of the multiple facet instruments that she has. I mean, she can longboard, she can shortboard, and she can stand-up paddle surf. And Turtle Bay is actually known around the world for being the one of the final stops on the world tour of the stand-up paddleboard surfing contest.
Well, there you go. Learn something new about this place every day. Stand-up paddleboarding. Do most people find that easier to do than surfing? I know I did, though I got to fall plenty of times in both endeavors.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the good thing about stand-up paddleboarding is that you can do it on just glassy, flat water. And the bigger you are, the bigger the board we have for you. I mean, it's sometimes like paddleboarding on a mini boat out there, but nice and stable, really fun. And once you get more progressive into it, you can start catching waves and then tandem catching waves like I was doing with your daughter.
So stand-up paddleboarding or surfing, you can do both at the Hans Hedemann Surf Shop. That's right here at Turtle Bay Resort. Just go to the website to find out more. It's turtlebayresort.com. Go to the place that says surf or stand-up paddleboard, and you'll find out about the affordable 2-hour lessons they offer. You can get a group lesson, you can get a private lesson, or you can get something even more individualized. It's all offered through the Hans Hedemann Surf School at Turtle Bay Resort. And Spencer, again, you've been a great instructor. We really appreciated the time.
Great, thank you. You're awesome.
You've got to go to Kahuku by the sea.
Good hunters know before you take that shot, you've got to see the whole picture. Now, the best way to do that is with a spotting scope, binoculars, or a rifle scope, but it's got to be from Leupold. Now, Leupold is a Northwest company with a reputation that stretches across the world for making superior optics. The kind of optics that allow you to see what you need before making that stock or pulling that trigger. Look for Leupold Optics at your local Cabela store, Dick's Sporting Goods, or online at leupold.com. Leupold, America's optical authority.
Psst, yeah, you, the guide, outfitter, or outdoors business owner who's listening to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. Have you ever thought of becoming a sponsor of our show? We've got local sponsor opportunities at all 50 of the stations that carry Northwestern Outdoors every week, and we've got some network opportunities too. If the outdoors is your business, we can help you with your advertising needs. Contact me, John Cruz, through our website at northwesternoutdoors.com. That's northwesternoutdoors.com, helping you get the word out about your outdoors company.
We're back with one last cast from John Cruz on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
All right, we're heading back to the Northwest for some field reports brought to you by Mardon Resort, the place to go in eastern Washington at Potholes Reservoir this fall for both fishing and hunting. That's right, it's cast and blast time where you can go out and catch bass, catch walleye, catch trout, and go hunting for ducks, for geese, and upland birds. Find out more about this great place to stay while you do it all at mardonresort.com. That's mardonresort.com, where the fish bite, but we don't. Speaking of blasting, we've got a 4-state pheasant hunting forecast for you this week, courtesy of Pheasants Forever. We start off in Montana, where pheasant hunting in Big Sky Country is looking promising this year. Spring counts were at or above average, and with favorable habitat conditions, there should be some good hunting opportunities, especially in the northeast corner of the state. Spring surveys in regions 4 and 6 from central to north central and northeast Montana found rooster populations to be 42% above the long-term average. Region 7 in the southeast part of the state reported that populations will vary between fair to decent. Not so good news out of northwestern Montana, where weather in the region resulted in below average numbers on the 9-Pipe Wildlife Management Area. Region 5, making up the south central portion of the state, also had counts below the long-term average, but Region 3 reported average numbers for southwestern Montana, and success should be similar to last year. If you're looking for access to land, check out Montana's Open Fields for Game Bird Hunters program. It started up last year, was very popular, and should be this year too. The season runs from October 11th through January 1st, and there's a youth season that's taking place September 27th and the 28th. In Idaho, pheasant hunting season is also shaping up to be good this year, according to Jeff Netter with Idaho Fish and Game, due to ideal weather conditions for breeding birds over the last 8 months. Idaho has has an Access Yes program designed to improve sportsmen's access to private land by compensating private landowners for opening up their lands to hunters. Over 1 million acres were opened up to hunters through this program last year, and a similar amount will be open this year as well. Season dates vary between October 11th and the 31st of December in the north. The season starts October 18th and goes through November 30th in the eastern part of the state. In the southwest, it's October 18th through December 31st. There's also a youth season, October 4th through the 10th for kids ages 15 and younger. In Washington, where pheasant hunting has not been great as of late, weather conditions in the state have been much more favorable for nesting and brood rearing compared to last year and the last several years. Abundant insect populations have also been noted by biologists, which should contribute to some good chick survival, according to Brian Calkins with the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife. The total 2013 Eastern Washington pheasant harvest was just under 37,000 birds, and Grant, Whitman, and Yakima counties are traditionally the top producing areas and should be good bets in 2014. Over the last 3 years, Washington has enrolled about 100,000 acres of private land and access agreements in southeast Washington, specifically targeting upland bird hunting. Much of this acreage is available through an online reservation system on the WDFW website, where you have to make a reservation in advance. So check that out now while you've got time. The season dates for Western Washington are September 27th through November 30th. In Eastern Washington, you're looking at a season that starts off October 18th and runs through January 11th. And there's youth season from September 20th through the 21st. That's right, that's this weekend. And there's a senior season as well that goes from September 22nd through the 26th for hunters 65 and older. Finally, Oregon reports drought conditions over the last few years, and much of the pheasant range in this state has depressed populations. That's the word from David Boudreau with Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. Preliminary 2014 survey data showed pheasant counts were up 20% in Malheur County. That's good. Level in Umatilla County, but down in Morrow County. The Columbia Basin and northern Malheur County account for most of the pheasant harvest in Oregon. Last year, 4,400 hunters bagged nearly 20,000 roosters. One piece of good news, hunters interested in a mixed bag should note noticeable increases are expected for both chukar and California Valley quail in Oregon this year. The season dates for pheasants in Oregon, October 11th through December 31st, and the youth season has various dates. Check the regulations for further details. Moving on to upcoming events. If you enjoy watching birds, head to American Falls next Saturday, the 27th, for the annual American Falls Fall Birding Festival. Register at the library between 8 and 9 a.m. and then spend the day looking for birds along American Falls Reservoir and the Snake River before getting together in the late afternoon to share what you saw. Just Google American Falls Birding Festival on the web for details. September 27th is also National Public Lands Day, and you can help with some trail projects at both the Lone Pine and Giant Springs State Park in Montana if you're looking to volunteer your time. Another place to visit on the 27th is the First Peoples Buffalo Jump State Park near Great Falls, where there's going to be a ranger-led guided hike at 10 a.m., followed by the chance to learn about and participate in traditional native games from 1 to 3 p.m. Sounds like a lot of fun. The 27th is also a good day to visit any of Washington's state parks because you can do so that day for free. That's right, no Discover Pass is required for your day visit, so if you haven't been to one of the Evergreen State's wonderful parks lately, this is a good day to go. And if you're in the mood for an early autumn bike ride, head to Hillsboro, Oregon on the 28th for the 12th annual Century Harvest Bike Ride, where you can celebrate, as I say, the coming of a glorious fall with options of a 3-mile, 45-mile, 75-mile, or 100-mile bike ride along the scenic roads of Washington County. Rides begin and end at the downtown Hillsboro Civic Center. Enjoy hot cider at rest stops, wine tasting, and a finish line party featuring a beer garden fun catered meal and live music. Now that sounds like a fun ride. Find out more about this event at harvestcentury.org. We hope you've enjoyed our show and our journey back to Turtle Bay Resort on the fabled North Shore of Oahu. There are some events going on there as well you may want to know about. Maybe book a trip for to include the Stand-Up Paddleboard World Series Finals taking place October 10th through the 12th at Turtle Bay Resort. And the Vans Triple Crown of Surfing has 3 dates you'll want to know about. The Reef Hawaiian Pro is taking place on the North Shore November 12th through the 23rd. The Vans World Cup of Surfing is going to be going off at Sunset Beach November 24th through December 6th. And the Billabong Pipe Masters is taking place at the famous Pipeline December 8th through the 20th. Turtle Bay Resort also has some really great Thanksgiving and Christmas getaway packages too. Find out more about booking a stay at this wonderful, wonderful resort on the North Shore of Oahu, where getting outside is just as important as anything else. The website, turtlebayresort.com. That's turtlebayresort.com. While you're on the web, check out our website too. That's northwesternoutdoors.com. And in case you missed some of this week's broadcast, we'll have it posted for you there all of this coming week. We also have a Facebook page at Northwestern Outdoors Radio. Follow us, like us, and you'll find news and information that doesn't necessarily make it on the show because we can only cram so much into an hour every week. That's all for this week. We're going to leave you with some music from Tutu Janet again, so until next time, aloha, take care, God bless, and make it a point to spend some time outdoors.